Hi guys! Today I'm going to be giving you a significantly longer video than my usual videos, and some of you are probably finding this channel for the very first time, trying to figure out how to format your book or typeset your book in Scribus. So stay tuned for all the details on how to do just that. Hi, I'm MK Williams. I'm an author and independent publisher. I love sharing all of my insights about self-publishing and making a career out of being an author with you. If you're finding this video, I would definitely recommend subscribing to my channel, liking this video, and if you are in the process of formatting your book with Scribus or multiple books with Scribus, definitely save this video to your watch later. I have timestamps below to point each step in the process so that way you can come back and revisit this. Say you're formatting one book and then a couple months from now, a year from now, you have to format another book. If you've saved this book to your watch later, if you've liked it, if you subscribed, you're easily going to be able to find it again. So you can jump to the section where you're like, what did you do in here? So that's my tip right now before we get started. So about a year ago, I actually shared a video with all of you about Scribus. So as an author, I'm also a very frugal person. And so when I was formatting my books, originally just through KDP Print, I was using their Microsoft Word templates. And if you're only formatting a book for KDP Print, those templates are going to be easy peasy for you. Just go and download those from KDP. Super easy. But if you're planning to have your paperback book or your hardcover book come out from any other print-on-demand service like Ingram Spark, Lightning Source, or anything else, then you're probably going to have to format it through an actual formatting software. And so that's where a lot of authors start to get tripped up, right? Especially if you want to save money. If you feel like I've already spent so much money elsewhere, now what, am I going to have to pay somebody to do this for me? Let me try and figure it out on my own. So there are multiple services that you can use. So the first formatting service that most people think of is probably Adobe InDesign. It's a very powerful tool. You can use it for more than just typesetting or formatting books. You can use it for PDFs or any other kind of branding. So if you're a graphic artist, if you have multiple lines to your business, you're probably already familiar with the Adobe suite and everything that they can offer. If you're familiar with it, this could be a great option for you. It can be costly though, because their services that they offer for their technology, it's on a monthly subscription. So again, if you're just like, I just want to get my book out, I just want to do this right, that may be really expensive for you. Other formatting softwares that are just for books include Scrivener and Vellum, and those are ones that I've thought about looking into. Vellum not so much because I don't have a Mac, and as of the time of this recording, you have to have a Mac to use that software. Scrivener you can use on either a Mac or a PC. However, there is a cost associated with that. And so when I was looking at all of these options to be able to take my books from just being on KDP Print to having them on Ingram Spark, where you cannot submit a PDF that is saved from Microsoft Word, I said, okay, I need a formatting software because I don't want to have to outsource this. I want to learn this because I have multiple books. So this is an investment, a time investment, and potentially a technology investment instead of me just paying somebody else to do this all the time for all the books that I put out. What am I going to use? So I found Scribus. So Scribus is an open source software, which means it is free. It means that there are regular updates to improve it, which is great. And so I said, okay, so I can either download this free software, try to learn it. If it works, great. Then I've learned a new software and it's free. Or if it doesn't work and it's a little clunky, I've lost nothing but a couple hours of my time, and then I can go and invest in one of these other softwares. So that's where I started with Scribus. So I was able to format multiple books already in the software. And when I made that video last year, I was able to tell you guys, this is really great to use. It's not this beautiful user experience. It is what it is, but it gets the job done. I've never had an issue uploading my print interiors to Ingram Spark Lightning Source for my print-on-demand books using the service. So I'm going to go over all the steps where you can set up your book, you can start to format it, you can start to flow it, and the print settings. So that way you're going to know everything you need to be able to format this book yourself in Scribus. If at any point, just pause, look down in the description where I'm going to have jump links. If you think, okay, I've got this, okay, I've got this, the different steps, I'm going to have the timestamps on there so you can find those. But I really want to just emphasize that if you are going through this and you just think, okay, I get it, I get how she's doing it, I still don't want to do this, you can absolutely outsource this to somebody. There are people who will format your books for you. I've actually done that for clients. There are services, like I said, with Vellum or Scrivener, where you can almost write the book in that service and then it's automatically formatting it for you. There are a lot of options, but if you know that working with Ingram Spark is part of your plan for your print book releases, then you need to also have a plan for how you're going to have that book formatted. So this is a great way that can save you time, can save you money, and I'm always trying to look out for you guys and save you some money. So I'm going to jump in to the tutorial right now. Again, when I did this video last year, I was not as savvy with audio. I didn't have a microphone, and I did not know how to do screen captures. So I'm coming back now and I'm doing the screen capture for you guys. This video is going to be significantly longer than my usual videos. If you are a subscriber, you know I'm all about getting you in and out, getting you an answer. Well, this one takes a bit more time. So please watch through to the end so that way you can see the print settings. It's very important. Otherwise, you are going to be frustrated and your document is going to be rejected. But I will jump into the tutorial right now.
Okay, so here from the Scribus website is where you could go and actually download the software, so you can see the latest release and actually get Scribus. So again, this is a free open source software. It's specifically for publishing, so typesetting books, formatting books. You can do PDFs and brochures in here as well. So it's definitely going to be a very powerful software. So I have obviously already downloaded this. I already have books formatted with Scribus, so I'm just going to go ahead and open. Okay, so the first thing you're going to see after you install it is this Ghost script is missing. This shows up every single time, and then when I very first downloaded it, all the tutorials I saw online was just click OK. It doesn't matter. We know it's missing. It's fine. So we're going to just go ahead and click OK. Don't worry about it. Okay, so whenever you open Scribus, you are going to go ahead and see the document type that you can get. Now, obviously, I am going to be doing a book, which is double-sided, so I'm going to click double-sided. Now, obviously, I'm going to need to pick a custom size. So these are standard, like envelope, for brochure, format, PDF sizes that they usually show up. So I need to go down to custom, which is all the way at the bottom. It's not with the C's. It's all the way at the bottom. Okay. Portrait orientation, that's what I want, right? Because I'm typesetting a novel, which typically is in the portrait orientation. Now, as you can see, the next option for me to fill out is the width and the heights, but they're in points. They're not in pixels, they're in points, and I want to use inches. So I'm going to switch over to inches down here, default unit, and then you saw up here it changed it, right? So what I need this to be is 6 inches by 9 inches. So 6 by 9 is a standard size for books, and people go with the 5.5 by 8.5. I found that between KDP and Ingram Spark, actually, the interiors for that 5.5 inch by 8.5 inch range vary slightly. And that's really frustrating when you've already assigned the ISBN to a certain size format and then you want to go between the two softwares. 6 by 9 is standard across both. So I use 6 by 9. I also just like the size. Some of my other books, I'm going to actually have to figure out what I'm going to do about that sizing because I like having my short stories and my nonfiction books in the 5.5 by 8.5 inch range. So we'll see about that. But this is a novel, so 6 by 9 inches is A-okay. And then the first page is going to be the right page. So whenever you open a book, you have the cover and bam, the very first page, the title page, that's a right-hand page. So this is already set the way that I need it. Okay, so to get started with this document, I'm just going to put in the first 10 pages. I know roughly that the first 10 pages I need are going to be all of my intro pages with title, table of contents, other books, introductions, dedications, those kind of things. So I'm going to just set that to 10, and then I will continue to show you through the video how you are going to add more pages as we go along. Now, one option that you'll see down here is the automatic text frames. I am not going to check this. I've done this in the past and it gets really annoying. So obviously when you're typesetting, you are going from your nice Word document, your edited, completed document, or whatever your word processor is, and you're going to be copy pasting into Scribus. So with automatic text frames, it makes you think, oh, it's just going to go from one page to the next. Nope, it doesn't do that. And with the automatic text frames, I found that sometimes it will just automatically, if you just, instead of clicking into it, which I'll show you how to do, and just hit Control Paste, it actually takes it all the way to the top of the document, which is super annoying. So I never click the automatic text frames. I just manually copy them. Yes, it takes more time, but it saves me a lot of frustration because I know exactly what I'm doing when I'm doing it. So I would say don't click this box. Some people may say to click this box. All right, so now we're going to look at the margin guides and the bleed. So this is very important. So one of the things I'm also going to pull up over here is our Ingram Spark file creation guide. So this is a document anybody can access. Now again, I'm formatting this book to use with Ingram Spark for their Lightning Source print-on-demand service. Any print-on-demand self-publishing software that you use is going to provide you this kind of creation guide. Even when you go onto KDP, yes, they have their templates, but they tell you exactly what they want in terms of the trim sizes and the bleed sizes. So I can just search here for margin. And now you see it's showing me the margins, it's showing me the bleed. So within printing, if you've never actually printed a document before, so you want a margin of safety, right? So you want all of your text, and then there's going to be a margin that goes all the way around, because you want to make sure that as they're mass producing maybe 100 copies of this, it's not going to be exactly the same spot every time, right? There's going to be maybe a millimeter off here, a millimeter off there while they're doing their print run. And so you want to have that margin so that way your actual text does not get cut off. And so Ingram Spark is telling me here exactly what they want to see, as well as the bleed. Now the bleed isn't going to matter as much for me right now because I'm just doing black and white text. If I was doing a book where I had to have color or I had an image that was going to the edge of the page, I would have to actually set the bleed so that way it's going a little bit over. You'll see that a lot with when you're doing your cover designs, that you have to have the bleed. It actually has to go over a bit because they're going to print it larger and cut it. So you don't want to have your name or your title or any of your words that are set within that bleed area. That's no good. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and set my margins here in Scribus. Now they give us some standard margins, but this is not necessarily what you would want to use for a book, right? So the inside needs to have a bit more because that's the seam where all the pages are stuck together. So you want to have a bit more space on that inside margin. So that way as people open the book, they can still see everything clearly, even though it's held in with the glue and the binding. So I'm going to go with 0.86 inches here. So see when that's removed, that's unlocked. If I lock it, that means whatever I make this one, it makes the other. I don't want that. I want to be able to set these manually. So this outside one, I'm okay with. That's fine. I'm going to leave that alone. The top, I'm going to make this 0.76. And then the bottom, I'm also going to leave alone. So that's done. That's fine. Everything's good from there. Ingram Spark tells me I need 0.5 inches from each side with the margins, and I am well within that because every single item that I've selected here for my margins is larger than 0.5. So I'm good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Okay, and as you can see, my first page is a right-hand page. You can see there's slightly more space between the margin here, this inside margin, than it is on the outside. That's what I wanted. Okay, and then, boop, there we go, all these beautiful pages. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to set up what's called master pages. So this is the great thing about formatting software is that I can set these master templates, these master styles, and apply them across the majority of pages in the book. Now, I don't necessarily want to apply that to this first page, the title page, or maybe my copyright page, my table of contents, but for the majority of the book pages, I want to have these set. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the master pages now. So this is what these really powerful formatting softwares can bring to help you with your document. Whereas if you are just struggling trying to do this in Microsoft Word, you would only be able to use that with KDP Print. They provide templates, so you don't have to do that. But if you're struggling in Microsoft Word, trying to make every single page have the same header with like the name or the book title, and you're ramming your head against a wall, using Scribus and these master pages is the answer for that. All right, so we're going to go to Edit, Master Pages. So up there on the top left, edit, scroll down, master pages. Okay, so we're going to see a normal left and a normal right. We are not going to change those two because our first 10 pages are normal left, normal right, which means there's no styling at all, which we're A-okay with. All right, so I'm going to make a new master page. Now, as you can see, this is going to be a left side master page, and we're going to go ahead and just call this enemy or EOP left page. So right now what I'm doing is I'm going to be reformatting my book Enemies of Peace. So this was the first book that I released through KDP Print. At the time it was a proof of concept to see if anybody would purchase my book outside of the digital format, and of course they wanted it outside the digital format. But I've never gone back and actually put my backlist onto Ingram Spark. I've always just said, well, I'm getting a lot of sales on Amazon. I'm not getting that many demands for the paperback outside of the Amazon ecosystem, even though the ebook has been wide since, for years now. So I'm going back and re-releasing all of my paperback books also through Ingram Spark to get the wide distribution for them. So this is for Enemies of Peace, left page. Okay. All right, so first thing that I want to do here is, and the reason why I left a little bit of space, so I want to add some text up here. So I want to have the book title on one side, and then I want to have my name on the other side. Okay, so as you can see now I have this bright red box, so I can add text in here. I can do anything I want with it. So instead of just typing in this box, like I can double click and just start typing. But as you see, like that's really big, it's not pretty, and there's no easy way for me to format that from here. So I'm actually gonna go up to this little icon that looks like a notepad to edit the text. So within here, I can format it, I can make it look exactly how I would like it to look. So that is what I'm going to do. So I want this to be my name on this side, on the left hand side. So as you can see, it's automatically going to have it be it's going to automatically have it be left aligned. I want it to be centered. I want it to be a little bit smaller. I like to format all my novels where the text of the novel is 11.5 font. So I want this header to be just 11 font. I want it to be a little bit smaller. I want it to be very clear that it's not part of the body text. And then I always like to use Garamond. So when I was very first back in the day as an intern, the first foundation that I worked for, actually Garamond was their house font, and it's because it is easy to read. There are other fonts that have now been created that are also easy to read. I like the look and feel of it, and it's also consistent with the rest of my books that it is in Garamond. So I'm using the Garamond italic for these headers. Check. Beautiful. My name's up there. There's going to be more than enough space between this blue area, which is going to be where the body text is. Now at the very bottom, I'm going to add a page number. Now I could easily just try and eyeball this to just say, I want this to be, right in the center. I'm actually just going to draw a line across the bottom here. And as you can see, like a little bit of space here, a little bit of space here. So I'm just gonna, with my arrow key, just move that over so it fits in nicely. Beautiful. Okay, so how am I gonna get the page number in here? So I'm gonna go back up to my edit text button. I'm going to insert a character and insert a page number. But the same thing, it's going to automatically format to be left aligned, Arial 12, so I'm going to center it. I'm going to take it down to be that 11-point font, and I'm going to make sure that it's Garamond, so that way it fits the rest of the fonts I'm going to be using. So Garamond regular. Check. Beautiful. And there you go. So it's going to show this little page number for right now. I'm going to show you how to set it so that way the page numbers populate correctly and you will not be pulling out your hair to do that. But first we have to finish our other master page. So this one is good to go. This is our left master page for Enemies of Peace. So now I'm going to go ahead and create a new one for the right hand side. So EOP right page. Okay, and so what I'm going to do here is actually a little sneaky. So I'm going to take this box, I'm going to Control C, so Control Copy, and over here on the right page, I'm going to Control V, Control Paste. And as you see, it gives me the same height. Now I still have to arrow it over to get it to line up with the blue box. However, it means I didn't have to try to guess, well, how tall did I make that? How many centimeters? Nope, it's the same exact height and size. It already has the formatting that I want. That's what makes me happy. Enemies of Peace. Okay, and I can see Garamond italic, 11-point font, centered. Beautiful, exactly what I want. All right, and now I'm going to go back to the left-hand side. I'm going to grab the page number and I am going to paste that again. So again, these are going to be lined up perfectly. I don't have to guess, well, how tall did I make that? Is it going to be perfectly centered? I'm just eyeballing this. Nope, it's exactly centered within this blue box, and it's at the exact same height as the page that's opposite it. So there we go. Those are my master pages. Now you could set up other items on here, but primarily what you're going to be doing with the master pages is your header and your page footer. Or at least that's how I have commonly used these with the with Scribus. Now the one nice thing too, now I said I obviously didn't want to have to eyeball. Oh no. That's what I get for using my arrows when I am scrolling up and down the page. So another thing here, by having this extend the entire width of the page, is as the page numbers rise, I don't have to worry that I made this tiny box that only fits 1 digit or 2 digits. This can obviously fit up to 3 digits as the book goes into the 100s and 200s. So that's very important to remember. All right, so next we are going to say, all right, our master pages are set. We are good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and click exit here, and it's going to take me out here. Now, as you see, these pages aren't showing that. That's because these are normal pages. They were not added with the master pages. I will get to the point when we are ready to show you how to add the master pages in. Do not worry, I am getting to it. Okay, but before we start anything, we want to set our font and our styling, right? So this way, all of the text, all of the fonts are set. I don't have to keep going back and changing it every time. And more to the point, I want to make sure that if I'm copy and pasting, now I am just showing something here as an example. So I'm just building this text box. I'm going to delete this. I'm just going to show you why this doesn't look good if you were to just copy paste from here. So this is from my ebook version. Okay, let's just go down here. So this isn't even body text. So if I just go in here, I have my cursor highlighted and I hit here, nothing formatted comes over, nothing. So I would have to go and manually change all of this. Well, I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna exit that. I'm gonna take this away. So I'm going to start to edit the styles for this book. So I'm going up here in the top left to edit styles. It's actually right above master pages. Okay, so we have 3 kinds of styles. We have paragraph styles, character styles, and line styles. Now, I don't really need line styles. I don't insert lines into my books. If you insert lines into your books, this is where you could format that, just so you know. Okay, but next what I want to do is I want to set my character styles. And I'm doing that because I want to make sure that I have everything set up as far as what the characters are going to look like. So as you can see, it always defaults as Arial, regular, 12-point font. Well, as I said, I like to do 11.5-point font for my books. I like it to be Garamond, regular. Now, when I have italicized text, I will show you how to manually change that, but I know that the majority of the font needs to be regular, not italic, so I'm keeping that as regular. Okay, so that's good. Apply. I love it. That's exactly what I want it to be. All right, so now I want to go into my paragraph styles. So this is going to be the most important feature here. I want this to change to have an indented line. So I'm going to make 3 different types of paragraph styles here that I'm going to show you. So this is the default. This has this is where I want it to be indented. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to be 0.25 for the indent. So this means that it's when there's a new paragraph, it's going to default to have a indent on it. That's what I want. All right, and then I'm also setting that I want this to be right justified. I don't want it to be full justified because that's going to create those rivers of text or those big empty spaces, but I want it to be right justified. I don't want there to be this weird curve on the right-hand side of my book. So right justified, so that's good, perfect. Okay. So I'm going to set a new paragraph style. So this is going to be my first line, no indent. Right? So this is going to be, especially as I go from one page to the next, if it's in the middle of a paragraph, I want to make sure that first line isn't indented. It's not a new paragraph. So that's where this one, I am going to change to have 0 indent. 0, boom. Okay. And as you can see over here, all of my character formatting already saved over. I don't have to worry about that. So this one's good. This one's good. Yay. All right. And then we have to figure out what are we going to do when we start a chapter and we want to do these really cool drop caps. We're going to create a new paragraph style for that as well. Okay, so again, you can see it's starting everything. So I'm going to have this at no indent because we got a big old fancy drop cap. Okay, I like it when it's 4 lines because I'm fancy like that. Okay, all right, apply. So now I have my 3 different paragraph styles. Okay, so I'm checking each of these one more time. I'm going through, boop, and then I'm going to hit done. Done, saved. Okay, so now all of those exist. So if I were to go and build this text box again to copy in that same text, we're going to see that it's going to look a little different. See, they're all indented. That's my default, was the indent. They are all in 11.5 font. They're in Garamond. And as you can see here, that one went over, so that's why it's not indented. So that's why we want it that set. Now, obviously, I'm not going to have that for my first page. That looks hideous. So we are going to say, okay, our styles are set. Now, at this point, you can go ahead and save this as a template. So if you know you are going to be doing multiple books here in the next couple months, in the next couple years, you can save this as a template, and I'll show you how to do that. Now, this is optional. You don't have to do this. You could just save this as your document. So save as template. So you could just say book formatting 6x9 interior. It looks like I maybe already did that. But in this case, I'm just going to save this as a document. So if you save this, you can easily come back to the template and say, I've already saved my master pages. I've already saved my styles. I know that this is good to go. I can go ahead and just start to work on the book so you don't have to go through these steps again. But I actually like to go through them every time because I have the title in there. That's different. And I just always want to make sure I'm setting it up properly every time instead of assuming that I always have done this right, because as a human, I've made mistakes. I've had to do this a few times. This is now the 6th time that I'm working in this software, so I feel much more confident with my ability to get this done right. All right, so I'm going to save as just to make sure this document saves. So enemies of piece 6x9 interior. Perfect, because I don't want to lose that. Okay, so now we're going to start to add some text to the book. Oh, so exciting. So I obviously want to make sure I get my title page. Now, this is at over 100%. I like to be able to see the whole page when I'm working. So I'm actually going to change this to 80%. Just so I can see everything that I'm doing. It may be a little small for you on your screen. I also like to do this when I have 2 screens going, but as I'm recording the screen share, I only have 1 screen set up, so that way I can show you guys everything. So I will probably, whenever I'm done with this recording, switch to 2 screens because it will be so much easier on my eyes. Okay, so now I can see most of this page. So what I want to do here, and now you saw me when I was in the master pages, click on this little A box up here. This allows me to set that I would like to have a text box. So this is our title page. So I just want this to have the title of the book and the subtitle. So I'm going to go in here and type Enemies of Peace. Okay, the American Nightmare. Very spooky and sinister. Okay. All right, and I want this to be centered just like it is here. So I'm going to center it. I'm also going to say that I don't want these indented because they're centered. So first line, no indent. First line, no indent. So that's taking care of that for me. Now, this is the title. I want this to be much larger than my standard sizes. Oh, this switched back. So that's one thing you also have to look out for as you're changing the styles over here. You may need to go back and change your styles over here. So just be careful for that. Okay, so I want this to be like a big papa. I want this to be as big as it can go. So let's see what it looks like. 25. Let's see what this looks like with 20. Ooh, I want that to be way bigger. Okay. So I'm going to go back in and just kind of fiddle with that until I get the size right. Let me actually see what size this was in here. This was 28. This was 11. Okay. Well, that was also for an ebook, so that's a little different. I like it. Okay. I want it to be that high up on the page, so I'm going to make that a bit lower. And again, this one I am kind of eyeballing because it is just this first part here. Oh, I should probably put my name, right? But I want this to also be first line, no indent. So you can see I have all these options here. Okay. Indent. Thank you. Center. Check. Boom. There we go. Title, subtitle, my name. Beautiful. That's exactly what I want for my cover page. Now the next page is going to be my copyright page. It'll be the most beautiful page ever. Not. Okay, so you see I'm making this the full length of this blue interior. So my blue interior is my safe zone where I can easily put text. So I just wanted this to be the full length of the page. And now I'm going to go in here and I am going to just copy and paste my copyright page. Now, because I'm not changing anything material about the book, I'm just literally reformatting it so I can put it out with Ingram Spark. I am not going to be changing any of the ISBNs. This isn't a second edition, it's the same edition. It is all the same. The unfortunate thing is I have to say all of these first line no indent. That's annoying. But that's just part of the process because when I go and do the rest of the book, I'm probably going to want things to be indented most of the time. This is the only page where I really don't want things to be indented. So that's fine with me. I am a-okay just clicking this a few times here. This is also a good way where you can tell if there's anything wrong in your ebook if you're copy pasting it over and you see that those line breaks are there and you don't want that. Okay. Okay. All right, so I'm protecting my copyright. It obviously doesn't fill the whole page. I'm okay with that. So I'm going to click here and I'm actually just going to move this down. I always like it to be aligned to the bottom of the page versus the top of the page. All right, so next page up. Again, these are all the introductory pages. So I'm going to list all of my other books that people can read by me because this is a good chance if they like this book, they might like my other books. So I'm going to copy this in. Obviously, I will not copy the link text in. And one thing I can do is I can actually go to a previous document that I've created and build this in, but since I'm showing you how to do it from scratch, I'm not going to do that. That would be my go-to in this case. But I am just going to show you how to do it here. Copy, Control C. All right, so now I need to draw my text box. Again, this is for me much easier than doing those automatic frames where I literally just want to throw things at the wall because it's really annoying. Okay, and then I can just extend this all the way down. So I'm going to edit the text. I'm going to include that. I want all of this to be centered. Again, I don't mind saying all of this should be first line no indent because it's centered. It should not be indented. It's going to make me reset all of that, so that's fine. Yeah, and that's the one thing about this front material. When things are centered, it just doesn't look as good if it's indented, so you want to make sure it's not indented. So that's the main reason I'm doing this. If I didn't have this centered, I wouldn't have to worry about that. Okay, so this I want to be a little bit bigger. I would like it to be bold. I want this to really stand out. Okay, fiction. I'm just going to make this bold. Here I'm on bold, but this is for a series, so I am going to italicize this line. Okay. And as you can see, I can toggle between bold, italic, and regular up here. So that is where I am doing all of that. Bold, so I just want this to be bold. Bold. Perfect. All right, let's see what that looks like. Beautiful. Now what I am going to do, because I just want this to be in the middle of the page, it's kind of weird just hanging out up top there. Beautiful. Boom. got that list there. All right, let's move to the next page. So again, this front matter is never as exciting, but you always just want to make sure it's in there. Now, obviously with the ebook, I was able to just do hot links to the different portions and chapters. In the actual print book, I'm going to have to put in page numbers. So I'm just going to copy this. And what I'm going to do is I always have a notebook with me, and that is where I'm going to go, and I am going to have the list of the full table of contents with all the chapters and parts. This is actually probably going to spread over 2 pages, but I am going to start it on the next right hand page because I just think that looks nicer. All right, boom. Okay, no style. But what I want to do is I also want to have each of my chapters in here. So I can see here I have 41 chapters. That's a lot. Okay, I have 41 chapters. So I have on my notebook now a list of each of these chapters. So I'm going to go ahead and just do chapter 1. Chapter 2, chapter 3, okay. So I'm just going to set this here. And then what I'll do as I'm going through the book, I'm going to come back and just write down on my notebook the page number. So when I'm very last thing I'm going to do before I export this is I'm going to go ahead and update the page numbers here. But that's something I'm obviously not going to do right now just because I don't know what they're going to be yet until I format it. But I am going to make this look a bit nicer. Bold. Boom. So as you can see, yeah, I can start to just make this look a bit cleaner, a bit nicer. I can say, okay, well, maybe I don't want the parts to be indented. So there's like no indent, but then all the chapters can be. So as you can see, I can just start to make this look a little bit different. And then I can add the page numbers in. I can make this all centered if I wanted to. That might look interesting. Boom, look at that. And also made the font bigger, which is interesting. No, I did not want that to be that big. That's why. 12. Boom. So that'll make it nice where I can say part 1, part 2. I can go in here and I can just add a space. So that way it's really clear, like part 1 is here, part 2 is here. This is definitely going to spill into 2 pages. So I'm going to come back and do that at the very end once I know what all the page numbers are. But that's how you would format. And I'm planning to have table of contents continued. So as you saw, I just clicked on this whole box. I hit copy, copy, and now I'm hitting paste. So I'm just going to move this over. And up here, I can just say, continued. So that is something you do have to watch out for. Sometimes it's like, oh, you don't want that to be part of the formatting. You're like, oh no, but I do. Boom. Okay, so that's going to be there. So I'm going to have 2 pages for my table of contents. That should be more than enough. 41 plus 5 lines, that is 46 lines. That should definitely get me enough for that. So I'm going to come back and do that once I know what all my pages are. Okay, all right, then I have my dedication to my dad. Makes me happy. All right, so the dedication is going to be on this page. Okay. Thankfully, this is just 1 line. It makes it a lot easier. Ta-da! First line, no indent. Center. All right, I can make that italic, a little bit bigger. Okay, beautiful. Cool. All right, what's up next? Okay, and then I have a quote to start the book. Because again, I'm super fancy like that. C, and I can probably use that same exact sizing here. So again, it's all this front stuff that takes more time than you would probably like, but it's just as important. And so you want to make sure you're not skimping on this step either. And italic. I had it italic elsewhere. Okay, so as you can see, I have this little red X that showed up on the side of the box, and you can see not all of the text is fitting. That's because it's saying that there's more text that can show in that space. So I'm going to make this bigger. It all shows. So for whatever reason, like it showed that X, but there was just a blank, like an extra tab, an extra enter space, like for another line. That would actually not work because that red X is still going to show up when you export, and you don't want that. So you still have to go in and delete the extra space. Okay. Okay, so I have a second title page because, again, super fancy. But I've come to the end of my right-hand pages. That's not what I want. I want to have a few more right-hand pages. So I'm going to click on this page, which is my final page 10. I'm going to do page insert. So I need at least 1, 2, 3 pages at the end, and these need to be normal left, normal right, not my master pages. So I know I need at least 3 more pages where it doesn't have any of the branding on it. So I'm actually going to go up here to my nice pretty title page. I'm going to use that again. So I just Control C, scroll down to the page I want, boom, Control V. But this is where I have this little poem to start the book. Again, I centered a lot of things at the beginning of this book. You really will not have to do this nearly as much once you get into the formatting and the flow of things, and I will show you that here in just a moment because we are almost to the actual meat of the book. Go figure. Center. Boom. Boom. Same thing, got my little red X. So I'm just going to drag this up a little bit so that way it's nice and centered again. I love it. It makes me happy. Okay. All right, and then we're going to go into part 1. Which is avarice. So this is the first text of the book. So I am going to set this here. Now I am going to also write down where part 1 starts because I'm going to want to remember to have all my other part 2, part 3, part 4 pages formatted just like this. So I want this up here to read part 1. So again, I want to center things. I'm fancy. I'm sorry. Okay, and then I want this both to be bold. I want this to be italics, I want this to look a little scripty. Okay. Okay, and then I like for the chapter to start a little bit, or the section to start a little bit down the page. All right, so now I'm actually going to be copying text. Yay, I won't have to go and do all those really, really annoying changes of my styles. Okay. But this one is the very first line, so this is going to get my drop caps. Everything else is good, but it is all italicized, as we saw from my other document. Now, clearly, I don't want this huge quotation mark here. So what I do whenever I have a quotation mark that starts a chapter, I actually just take it out. Boom. Okay. But obviously what it was doing is forcing that next line all the way down, and I didn't like that. I wanted it to at least be, you know, a little caught up there. So they're also no longer italicized. It's annoying. There we go. So now I have it just the way I want it to look for these first ones. But every time I do that, it's going to reset it. So that's really just very annoying. So this is one of the things that I don't like about this system, is that it's very particular. There we go. So now we're getting the end of this sentence. We're getting it all lined up with the O. Again, I could have picked not as obnoxious of a drop cap being 4 lines, but that's what I picked. Most of my first sentences are not 2 words. Okay, part 1 is set. So now I need to go into chapter 1. So chapter 1 is where I want our pages to start. So what I need to do here is I'm on this 13th page. I need to page insert one more page that is a left-hand page that's blank. Beautiful. Ta-da, did that. Okay, so now I need to start to insert pages that are actually going to be our master pages, because I want this to have the title of the book. I want this to have my name coming up on it. So I want to actually have 10 of these that are coming in. So now you can see this one is going to show everything. It's also going to show the page number, but it's showing at 15. I don't want that. I want this to show as page 1, or potentially I want it to be counted as this is page 1 from the second title page. So this is actually page 3. So what I need to do is go to File, Document Setup. Okay, and we're going to come all the way down here to sections. So this is where we want this to be set. So from page, so 15 is where we actually want it to be showing. But that's going to be page 3. So from page 13, that's what we want to be our page number 1. 224, that's the current number of documents, start 1. Okay, so now I'm going to hit apply. Okay, so yep, that shows up as 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, yay. All right, so that showed up exactly the way that I wanted it to show up. That's good. Okay, so now I'm going to be able to do what I call flowing. So I'm literally going to take this part and I'm going to copy this down here. But I'm going to have it say chapter 1 instead of part 1. And I'm going to take out that second line because I didn't name my chapters. I'm actually going to write down on my notebook. So wherever I'm going to go and actually put all of the chapter numbers, all of the part numbers, I'm actually going to write down what my sizes are for the chapter. Again, that's just going to help me as I'm going through this. It's probably going to take me most of today just to get this done. But this is going to help me to remember that I have everything. And see, actually, when I did that, it changed it to what the format was for the previous one. So I want to make sure it's bold, 17.5, centered. Love it. Okay. All right. And then this is the exact size that I want my chapter start to look like. So that's why I'm copying this one. And then moving forward, I actually don't want that to be there because I don't want it to cover up my number. Okay. So drop caps will start here. Everything should be good. And then I'm going to go through and just make sure there's no italics in here because I do have to manually set those. Beautiful. That's what I want. But see, stuff is coming over here. So I can't just leave that, right? That needs to go to this next page. Okay. So I want to select this page now. I'm going to draw my next line. Come down a little bit. Okay. All right, so I'm going to take this text, come out here. Okay, and I just need to add a few little spaces there to get that to come through. Beautiful. All right, and now I'm going to go to this box and I'm going to get this started. Now, because this was in the middle of a paragraph, I do not want this to be indented. Perfect, but the rest of the text on this page, no style. You know, it's totally fine just to be as is. And I'm not catching any italics in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that in. Boom. Okay, but again, I've got this guy. So what I'm going to do here, actually, just to make sure this is the same, is I'm going to copy this over here. I'm going to align it up with my blue lines for my margins and my bleeds. Okay, and then I'm going to come here and say bring the message. Okay, well, let's figure out where that cut off. Okay, now the start of this page, I'm not going to have to worry about the first line no indent because it is a new paragraph, so I want this to be no style. You know, I want this to be indented. And again, I'm not seeing any italics, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay. And this is actually the last paragraph of the chapter, so just have this little bit left here. All right, there's an extra space. I want to make sure that doesn't come through. First line, no indent. Boom. Okay. Okay, so see how I still have no text under there, but it's that red X. That means there's an extra line down here, and we don't want that because it's still going to show that red X when I export. We're just going to go boop. X is gone. Yay. All right, so that's the first chapter. So now when I go to do chapter 2, I am going to copy this. Boop. Again, it's going to put it in the same exact spot for me. I don't have to worry about changing the size here. Okay. And then I need this guy. And chapter 2 starts on page 7. All right, so now I can see I've got some italics coming up, so I'll show you how to do that. All right, so now I'm going to find this exact line here. And just change that to italic. Otherwise, it is not going to change automatically. Okay, and now I'm just going to keep flowing this through until I finish the book, which is, like I said, probably going to take me most of the day. I need to take breaks sometimes and just double check things. And obviously I'm going to be very meticulous looking at my page numbers as I go through because I want to make sure that nothing gets lost, that my table of contents is going to be up to date. So if I can just make note of these pages as I go along, that actually makes my life a lot easier. So yep, this first one is first line, no indent, and the next one is no style. So I want to set that before I go ahead and copy more in. Otherwise, it's going to make them all first line no indent, and I'm going to change them all. Don't like that. Okay. And sometimes I copy more than I know can fit just because I know I'm going to have to flow it over anyways. Okay. All right. So that is how we are formatting the book. Now I'm just going to flow through all of these chapters, all of these parts, and be able to go in and do that. And as I need more pages later, I'm just going to do page insert at the end. I'm probably going to need like 70 more of these. So enemies a piece left, enemies a piece right. Boom. All of them show up, they flow in, and now I have more space to be able to build out the book. So that is how you format a book in Scribus. So with this, I've showed you how to set up the document, how to set up the margins and the bleeds, how to set up the size of the document, how to set the styles for your master pages. So your pages that are going to just have your page numbers, your titles and your headers coming up here. That's set for you. Don't have to worry about it. How to add text, how to format that text, how to set your styles for that text so you can change it for the entire document, but then how you can go in and change it individually. I've showed you how to add page numbers, showed you how you can save this as a template as well as a document. I've also showed you how to add some of the first pages as well as starting to get into your chapter. Now, the most important part is when you're done, when you're like, okay, this is good to go. I'm going to export this to print. First, check over everything, make sure there's none of those red X's, there's no weird gaps where you don't want there to be gaps, anything like that. As you can see, I already messed up here. I have to do a drop cap. That'll be something I go back and check for. So when I go to save this as a PDF though, so for the point of this example, all right, so it's going to show me everything here. Looks good, looks good. Oh, there's text overflow on this page. What a surprise, because I haven't fixed that yet from this example. So I'm just going to click ignore, but usually if I saw that, I would go back and figure out, why is that overflowing? That's not right. Okay, so now I have everything. I'm going to, where I want it saved, what I want it saved as. Now, before you go to export it, you have to change the color. That has to say printer because you're sending this to an actual printer. So you need this to be a higher quality. Whenever I have exported a PDF and I haven't changed it, it's always been kicked back. But when I do it this way, it never gets kicked back from Ingram Spark. So that's your number one thing I want you to remember when you're coming in and finishing this up. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. And I am going to finish flowing this book. And you should be able to buy this paperback, Enemies of Peace, anywhere that you can get a paperback here shortly. So have a great rest of your day.
Okay, so that is how you typeset or format your book in Scribus. I hope you found this really helpful. Now, if you've gone all the way through, you followed everything, and you still are looking at your document like, this is a hot mess, I don't know where I messed up, I don't know what I did, drop a question below. I may be able to answer it. Somebody else on the internet may also be able to answer it. So you definitely want to ask those questions. Or if you just think, you know what, I am 2 seconds from throwing my computer, I'm just going to hire somebody to do this for me. That is A-OK. Your time as a writer is very precious. You have so much to do getting ready for your book launch. If somebody can offer you a great service for formatting, then absolutely go ahead and talk to them. I've done this for clients. I actually don't mind formatting. I like it. I find it peaceful. I just throw on a podcast or some music and I just flow through it. So if it's something that you cannot stand, you're not really enjoying this part of the process, contact me, contact somebody else to format it for you. Save yourself the trouble so you can focus on the fun parts of launching your book. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you think you might need to reference this video later, don't forget to save it to your watch later playlist. So there's a quick little plus button down there where you can hit that and go ahead and save for watch later if you want to reference this video again. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and now you can get back to formatting your book.